we're back in the Buckle Bunny room, and this episode is sponsored by who, Brandon?
Hauser built retriever trucks.
They
Best retriever trucks in the land.
They are the best. I got to see them work plenty of times.
Yes.
Thankful for them.
Yep, them boys in Cam Verde, they make a hell of a machine. You get one of them, you ain't going to drop no bells, I guarantee that. People that know, they know.
For sure.
Yep.
I appreciate them. Thank you so much for that. In the house this week, we have Preston Williams. Thank you very much for being with us, Preston. How's everything going?
Thanks for having me, guys. Going good.
You bet. Well, for those who don't know, he's been a hero of mine for a long time. When I was a kid, I used to work the shoots for him and Uncle George when they rodeoed a little bit, circuit rodeoed, and did some things around here. And I've got to watch him for a long time. And for a little bit of accolades, he is a Indian National Finals qualifier, 20 plus years. And for the listeners, you explained it to us earlier. Was it you made it for your first one when you were in 8th grade?
I believe it was 8th grade. I think it was 8th grade. We're up with my dad.
That's awesome, right there.
Albuquerque.
And tell us where the finals is taking you. So you've gone to where's it been? And so you said Saskatoon, Canada.
Yeah, I think the first place I started out was Salt Lake City back in my dad's days, and then went to Albuquerque for many years, and that was kind of the home for a while. And then it bounced around. It went to 1 year was Saskatoon, Saskatchewan in winter. It was a cold sucker. San Carlos, Saboba Casino out in California, Rapid City, South Dakota. I think before South Point, I think it was in San Carlos. I think it was the last place.
That's awesome right there. That's quite the trail for sure. And you've made it in the calf roping and team roping. Won gold buckles in those categories right there. Did you ever bulldog?
I never bulldog. I don't think I was ever big enough.
Well, I think you're big enough, man. It's just you rope good enough. You can just stay on your horse for sure. Step off to tie a calf down if you need to.
That was kind of my thought, is I got to try harder at the roping events. But yeah, no bulldogging.
That's awesome. So I'm glad you come on, because one of my favorite wins of yours is I got to help you out at the World's Greatest Roper. And this was an event that they held in Reno, and all the greatest ropers were there at that time, that they're going to go rodeo and stuff. And the events were team roping, heading and heeling, and calf roping, right?
Yes, sir.
And then we beat Trevor Brazil's ass and Kyle Lockett's ass. We don't want to.
Hell yeah.
We don't want to boast too much. We don't want Kyle beating our ass. But it was a fun deal to help him out. And
so was it kind of like a timed event like they do with Lazy E, just minus a couple events?
Yeah.
That's cool.
The Lazy E put it on. It was their event, their production.
Oh.
So it was the day before the BFI, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So that year, they had it there the previous year also, and it was invitation only, and I called them and got denied the first year. And then the next year, they had a qualifier. So the first day was like a preliminary round, and then you had to qualify to the final day. And they took everyone that year. And
awesome. So you called Caesar up to have come help you heal him down?
Yeah.
So are you in Reno at the rodeo at the time, or?
I was there.
Yeah. So you were
there, like I said, Trevor.
Yeah.
All the best ropers.
So he called you and said, "We're gonna do this," and I know you. Hell yeah.
I actually got to help him and Kyle Lockett.
Oh, okay.
That's why I brought up his name, but it was
cool.
Yeah.
I got the list to see who was all. Well, like I said, it's before the BFI, so pretty much all of them were going to be in town. So I looked through there and like, oh, Caesar's my first call for sure. And then, to be honest, I called Rogers, and he was out. He was somewhere else. And then I told Powell, like, man, that guy's a machine. He had that good gray horse, and might as well ask the best. And he said yes. So he helped me, and they're only allowed to help 2 guys, so he helped me and Trevor. So I thought he was a pretty good pick. Trevor wanted him also.
Yeah. What were you riding?
I was riding Annie Oakley. I called her Little Miss Sure Shot. She was fun. She was easy for me to catch on. I believe the next day I won second in the BFI maybe that year.
I think so,
yeah. She was one of my favorite little horses as far as wide open. Them steers are pretty wild too. They're almost dead fresh. They didn't start very good the first round, and then by I think the fourth round or fifth round, they kind of were really squirting and running away.
They're even more wild the way I handled it.
It was fun. It was fun to get you. So you had a little. When I was a kid, you had a little paint mare, and man, I was kind of fond of her. She was a beautiful little thing. Did you rode her there, right?
No, she was done by that time.
Okay. Let's. Did she have papers, right? She bred.
No, she had. I mean, maybe she did, but when we got her, she didn't. My uncle worked at the sale yard there in Fallon, Nevada, and he told my dad, "Hey, there's a little paint mare coming through the sale. You ought to take a look at her." So he bought her for, I don't know, $600-800 or something. She was 2 or 3, and he started her, got her broke good enough. And right about that time, I was going to college, so I took her to college, and she's just one of those that was easy from the get go. Like I hauled her, I don't know her exact age, but she was 3 or 4 when I started hauling her, and went to the college finals on her and won the college finals and kept her for a while. I won the college finals on her, won Cheyenne on her.
Yeah. Let's talk about that rodeo right there. So when Preston won it, what year was that? You remember off the top of your head?
Cheyenne.
Yeah.
2001. They try to take that one away from me quite a bit.
Well, it was muleys over there, big. They come fresh off the feedlot, right over that rodeo. Unpredictable, and there was a fresh one in the short go, right? They're
fresh. They brought different colors each round. Like there was a solid blacks one round and Charolais one round. In the short go, they brought all Herefords.
He's got one of the coolest pictures around on that little paint mare, and the sucker's jumping as high as us. You know, he's big old, about jumping 5 foot tall, 6 foot tall, pretty much. He was a big old black. And you had Blair Burke heading for you, right?
Yeah.
So that was kind of nice. You know, he had one of the best neck ropers in the game.
Oh yeah.
To run down there and turn him a steer. But
Blair Burke's a calf roper, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So when you dallied on that thing, in the short go especially, I imagine they hit pretty hard. You know them. Did that mare set him down pretty good?
That mare, she was strong. She wasn't very big, but she was. But no, the way it went down in the short go, we were like 5th or 6th callback, and Blair turned him and he took a big old wild hop, and I roped him in the air. Like that picture, all 4 feet are in the air. And when he came down, he fell down. So that was really going to be my only shot. And so to answer your question, no, it wasn't that big a hit because he fell down.
That's awesome right there. The picture, like I said, he's all legs are everywhere. And you can tell like that was a pretty cool shot, but he hit pretty hard. He was going to fall down the very next jump. So right spot at the right time for being a healer right there, right?
Well, that's one of the cool things about that mare. You know, what made her good for me was you could, and I still think it's true to this day, like you could do whatever you wanted to. You can put her wherever you want. You know, I borrowed horses after riding her, and I thought they're all supposed to be this when I borrowed horses, and they just cut in so hard, so you got to get up to a certain spot to allow for that cut in. And her, I could, if I wanted to get to the inside, she's still not going to go to the head. She's just going to go to the hip, or I could get high or whatever. He had total control, and that was one of the cool things about her.
Well, that's a hell of an accomplishment. Cheyenne Hill.
He's won some big cool rodeos, and like and tracked down some of the very best ropers in the world too. Like your business now, PW Hardware. We got some of the product right here, and I want to talk to you a little bit about it. You've made some spurs for my boys. You made some bits for me. As far as you know, I kind of got to ride through all your bits because Dakota Kirchenslager's bought a whole bunch of them, and he's like I said, I got to ride the field. But say like a rider like Dakota Kirchenslager, and you got to make some bits for like say Corey Cushing, the world's greatest horseman. What similarities do you feel like those guys have in bits? Do they have a kind of a style? Maybe the cow horse guy likes a certain bit more, or Dakota, he rides a little bit like a cow horse guy anyways. Is there a bit that he kind of likes that may be similar?
Well, Dakota knows the guys that are more into showing. They get a lot of the horses that come from with a cow horse background they're broke pretty good. So, in my opinion, it kind of starts with like the more broken the mouthpiece, kind of the less broke the horse. So you kind of work your way up to the solid stiff bit, like this. Like on a finished bridle horse, you could put this on, and if you want flex, you use your leg, and you come across on the outside rein, which seems backwards because barrel racers and heelers pick up the inside rein, but that outside rein, you bring it across their neck and use it little inside leg, and their nose comes in. So that's kind of the finished product you look for in those bridle horses.
I have a question. So, man, I just caught on what you just said right now. So, is it for like a more broker horse is primarily just needs a solid one, and then like a younger horse or one that's not broke as much needs one that's broken? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because when you're trying to get them broke and you're in that beginning stage, you need the broken mouth to try to get them to move their different body parts.
I see.
That's why team ropers get along with the chain bits and the chain ports more. They're just a little more forgiving.
That means a little bit of the riders sometimes don't ride very best, team ropers. I've been doing a lot of clinics and lessons here lately. I've been working on that a lot because I got to hanging out with Dakota, and he started showing these horses a lot. And he showed me, like you talked about, how I would grab the inside rein, pull the inside rein maybe just a little bit shorter. And he reminds me, hey, straighten out them reins. For a bit like that, you can have your reins straight and kind of get that feel where you're talking about where you're coming over top, use your leg. Them horses are so broke, a lot of the times you just put your hand down on their neck and maneuver more with your legs. And it's a kind of a cool feel. And like, so the reiners run down there, and then when they release their legs, them horses really slide. It's like that. You kind of hold your hand pretty steady, and when you release with your legs, it's when the horse kind of gets into their stop. So you were talking about earlier, you make really good ring snaffles and D-ring snaffles as well too, right? To start the babies off.
Yeah, I do. I do make a lot of training equipment, but my show snaffles, that's probably one of my most hottest products. Like the guys show the futurity horses in them.
It's very important to get the weight just right and kind of have the balance just right for a bit like that. You don't have much whoa, but to have it where the horse carries it real nice, and kind of where they might pack it where they bend at the pole just a little bit. I feel like if the horse kind of halfway bends at the pole, they're usually pretty flexible in the neck and transitions all the way down to their hip, which helps for me. I like it when they stop and turn really nice. So talk about that and kind of the weight in some of these bits.
Well, it's funny because trainers, they all have different opinions, just like the ropers. Like some guys like them one way and another guy doesn't. But for me, just from my experience, I put most of my stuff together the way I think, and I experience the way it works. So the angles I put the mouthpiece and the design where the shank hangs and where the bottom ring is compared to the top ring and whatnot. I do that from experience. But unless, specifically requested by the customer, I'll change it up.
Okay. And then like I've had Dakota messes with me too, because this bit has a little bit of a roller in it. Explain the roller part of it and what it does for the bit.
Well, for one, in an NRCHA, it has to have a roller to be legal. So that's one of the main requirements. It has to have a roller and something attaching the bottom. NRCHA is the National Ring Cow Horse Association, but it has to have something attaching the bottom as well, whether it's leather or metal. And this one doesn't, but we can add leather to it. Another theory for the roller is just something to occupy the horse. And, if they're made out of copper, they salivate, which they say makes them lighter.
That's kind of what my grandfather said. He had a lot of copper rollers in his mouth. And I mean, for somebody that gets annoyed pretty fast, you might not like it, but if I've rode several of them, and I got a couple mouthpieces where they got really nice rollers. And they kind of, for boredom.
That's what it's for, boredom.
Pretty much they roll it, and like I said, it helps keep their mouth lubricated. But some horses, like I ride some kind of high powered type heel horses back in the day, still do like that kind of caliber of horse. But when you want them to quit moving their feet, sometimes they kind of still want to move around a little bit, and so you kind of they play with the roller quite a bit, and that's kind of like I put them kind of bits in them horses that are little bit ADD, a little bit.
Yeah.
And it seems like they like it, and they just like stand there, and I just like, I don't want you to move your feet, just stand there, and like next thing you know, the roller gets to just going.
Spinning.
Yeah, it's pretty funny how them horses are.
What do they call those deals they stole at the gas station? The fidget spinners.
Yeah. It's pretty much like a fidget spinner for a horse. Yeah.
Yeah, but if you're riding all day, you're out riding and it's quiet and you can hear a plane fly 100 miles away and that horse is just fidgeting with that thing. It drive you nuts all day. But if you're, just riding an hour a day.
It's pretty neat. Simran, I had a horse back in the day in 2007. I did pretty good at the NFR on him. And he was like that, man. He was just out of control with that thing. I would just take it out of his mouth when I wasn't doing nothing.
Like a pacifier.
Time I was going to rope on him, I put it in his mouth because he did work really good in that bit.
So there's different ways to do these, and I think this one has a little cricket to it.
You can put them a little bit lower versus a little bit higher sometimes too, right?
Yeah, that's all preference to the bit maker or the request of the customer. But this one will make a little bit of noise. A lot of times I just have a round hole in there, which doesn't make any noise. Or you can put copper rings in there, and that doesn't make noise, but they're bigger copper rings, and horses will like that too.
That's pretty unique. So in the evolution of the game, you said you were in 8th grade. You made the international finals that you got to see it from a young man all the way till now. What do you see the big change from back in the day roping and guys that were successful back in the day versus now?
It's unbelievable, the changes. And, a lot of the older guys say like, oh, we were just as tough then. We had bigger calves and bigger steers. But I think we'd all be idiots if we didn't get better with the technology. And, I'm not saying those guys aren't as talented back then. If they were forced to be 3, whatever, they could probably step up their game and do it, but it just wasn't really called for at that time. But yeah, the Indian rodeo is the same. I mean, there's always been a lot of talented guys there, and now you got Derek, the influence of Derek and Eric and those guys. Like, there's some kids that are pretty tough. I mean, that's not a bad place to go shopping for a header.
No, and little James Arvisu and Wawa Ben, they kind of got a style like them guys. Like Wawa looks just like Derek, just walking around. Just a little shorter version of him, but and little James when he's roping looks just like when he ropes. Yeah. So it's kind of neat how them guys are almost branding them. And so you groom some of these guys. You didn't get to rope with Derek enough a whole lot because we talked about it earlier. He's got uncles and his dad that rope really good, so he always kind of had a partner heading and heeling. But you got to crack Eric Rogers. We've had Eric on the Tolleson-Mack before, and you did really good about grooming him. And I think them young guys. So you got to go when you were real young to these Indian rodeos, and I think when Rogers and Sinigini and Begay got to start their rodeo career, they were a little bit groomed for it because the Indian rodeos are pretty fast. They're big rodeos.
Oh yeah,
big rodeos, and they're very, very competitive. You got to be fast. You got to be, some of them are two and a short. You know what I mean? Some of them are just one headers. So it's pretty unique to see them. I got to see Derek over there at Florida one year. I'm like, what are you doing over here? I'm over there at Kissimmee and Okeechobee. And he said, we got a couple Indian rodeos over here. Thought we'd enter the pro rodeo over here. So like they go all over the country.
Yeah. So you see some of the biggest names in the game over there, at the South Point. I mean, Coleman Proctor and Dustin Bird and all them guys.
You got to see like Eric and Derek and say Sinigini groom themselves at the Indian rodeos. Like, what changes have you seen in their game a little bit? Because both of them are kind of bombers. All three of them are kind of bombers back in the day, and they know how to run up there and catch and win now if they need to. Or if they got to be fast, they can be fast. But
they've learned. Yeah, they learned how to win at the Indian rodeos, and Sinigini, he'll still go out of his way to go to one. And I made a living going to Indian rodeos, and those guys, they learned how to win there. And I'm not going to take credit for any of their success at all, but I've roped with them all. And like you said, Derek, he's always had built-in partners, which was awesome. His dad and his uncles and whatever. So I never really got to rope with him, but roped with plenty with Eric and Aaron and a couple of them. So I got to see them at those rodeos where back then we didn't, all these runs weren't posted. And I was a believer in them. I mean, and, you know, guys always talk about how important the horses are. And I'm not going to dispute that, but it seemed like it always discouraged those type of guys. And, you know, Derek, when he came out, he had that little paint horse. And then Aaron came along. He had that yellow horse with a big knee. He won the U.S. Open. And Eric, he had that sorrel horse.
Sorrel horse.
Yeah. I can't remember what he called him, but he bought him pretty cheap. And that's how he got his name. And obviously they learned later that they need more horsepower, but they still got it done with those horses.
Yep.
You know, back when I went to college, you know, I said I never got to rope with Derek, but I did get to rope with his uncle, Dennis Begay, and he was like the Derek Begay of his time. And he had a horse that looked just like that paint, but is a sorrel. And a lot of the guys from Arizona will remember that horse. So, Dennis, he was a bad dude. So we went to our first college rodeo. I got to rope with Dennis. Went to Douglas, and that arena is long and skinny. So the flagger, he stands out there quite a ways. And Dennis bent 4 of them back right there over the flagger. He had to get out of the way every time. The rest of the guys, they went around the flagger. But Dennis every time about ran him over. And Dennis and I won that rodeo. But that was nothing for him to do that all the time.
Like I said, they're pretty competitive, these guys. I got to go to a couple of these Indian rodeos and watch, man. It's fast.
Yeah.
And then Saskatoon back in the day, I remember back in the college days, I used to go jackpotting over there. And you go to a jackpot and it's cowboy draw. You don't know if you're heading or heeling. And there's going to be 200, 300 teams. It's pretty wild. Like some of these Indian rodeos that Preston talks about, they give trucks for the all-around guy, trailers, and like, seems like every year I'd see Preston at least with a brand new trailer or something like that, or something, you know, he pull it around, maybe sell it and kind of.
That's kind of one of my stats that I say along with Cheyenne and the world's greatest roper. Like one year they did an article on me in the Cowboys and Indians magazine and kind of asked what I won, whatever. I said, well, 19 trailers, 2 trucks. And by the time the article came out, I won 2 more trailers.
What? Dang.
So 21, but that's where it stopped. So 21 trailers and 2 trucks. You know, I'm sure there's guys that have won more trucks than that, but I don't know if there's many guys that have won more than 21 trailers.
Holy shit.
I'm telling you, man, that was pretty cool. Like when I was a kid, it was just like a new trailer every time. I was like, man, this Preston's ball, and he used to do them trucks that he won. He'd kind of roll in there to Uncle George's, and I'm like, man, this is big time right here, man.
I need to check my ancestry report.
I'd pull them. Yeah, I'd pull them for a while. Wear out a set of tires and sell it.
Go win another one.
You get a brand new one, then just sell that other one and have a brand new, so you don't have to buy new tires.
That's the most impressive stat you told me so far. 21 trailers. Holy cow!
I'm telling you,
that's
man.
awesome. I heard Junior say he won like 49 dirt motorcycles, but I mean, you're right up there with him.
Right.
Yeah.
Holy cow!
One of my best weekends that I remember, there was 3 rodeos is on the Navajo reservation. 2 of them gave away trailers, and one of them gave away 5,000 for the all around. And I won all 3 of them.
Awesome. That's awesome.
Damn.
Was it there was one up north I went to, and they give I believe you won it 3 years in a row, maybe. What are they? Canyon Day.
Oh yeah, Canyon Day. That was open.
That was back in the day. It was just open rodeo. They give. I think it was just a bumper pull.
Yeah, that was a fun rodeo.
Man, that was a really fun rodeo. That's kind of when I got in with, got to enter with Big Gay. I got to enter with Derek and his dad, Vic, and Vic was one of pretty deadly, man. He talked about Dennis, you know, but Vic had a sweet, slick half head loop. And over at the Indian rodeos, man, these steers, they have a couple hundred teams, especially the open ones, and like these steers got pretty trashed by the end of the day. Like these guys are coming to the chutes and just bringing heat, and so these steers are pretty like head ducky and kind of doing some tricks on the heel side. And me and Vic were toward the end of the guys, and this steer dropped his head off the off direction to the right when he was reaching. So he just come straight down with the delivery and roped him backwards half head. And the steer come out of there just leading so good. But the run before, they got him around slick horns. They had to take an extra swing, and he come out of there about fell down, you know. But he let him out of there with with a slick calf, and we were pretty fast. It's one of the, I think it was the first time I was ever like short 4. And man, like I said, that was pretty neat. And then drove all the way home all night home, did another jackpot. And I'm like, man, this rodeo stuff's all right.
Victor would only take one swing.
Yeah.
He'd ride that same horse I was talking about, and he'd take one swing and just send it. It was unbelievable. And he would head for Derek when Derek was old enough.
Yep.
I've seen them make some amazing runs.
Derek would, he had a big kind of a floater. He'd have a hanger. So he'd swing, and about the time the head loop went on, he'd just kind of wait right here. He'd stall it out, and then whenever that steer would get legal, he'd just bring it down there.
Really?
Yeah, it was a pretty cool little shot.
So Victor used to throw it like that?
Oh, yeah.
Big time?
That's where Derek kind of got a lot of his game from. And you can correct me if I'm wrong, but he groomed a lot of these headers up there as far as Synergy and Derek for sure. And, I think he had a little bit of help with Eric, too.
I think he had, you could see it in Eric's swing.
Yeah.
They emphasized it. An open swing, and
all of them.
Yeah.
And kind of they're good, big on the face too, right? They kind of start their face just a little bit early, and whenever the heeler comes tight, they're legal. So like I said, like they're always looking for little ways to shave a 10th or second off the clock, because honestly, you're only as fast as your header.
Yeah.
And
so Victor, he pro rodeoed then?
Yeah.
I mean, he was all the time rodeoing?
Yeah. Well, Victor didn't really go pro rodeo, like just to a few. Like I kind of seen him go at the George Strait one time, and he won a day money over at the Strait, and pretty good shot.
He healed, I think, earlier. Before he started heading, he went to the pro rodeos healing.
Yep. And I think nowadays he heals for Derek, right? A lot of these rodeos and stuff when they go to the Indian rodeos. And I think he heal for James too.
James Hills.
Little James Hills.
Oh,
yeah. Vic Hills for Little James, right? Yeah. I think so. Yeah. So,
they have an Uncle James also.
Yeah. James RV soon, James Begay. But yeah, they're both.
I have a funny story about that sorrel horse that some guys in Arizona will remember. And I know Jake remembers, Jake Barnes, because I heard him tell someone else about it. But so I was going to college in UNLV my last year, and I'd come down here to rodeos all the time still, amateur rodeos and whatever. So I brought a friend with me to the Gilbert days, and I should say his name. I don't know if I will, but so he's calf roper header. He didn't have a head horse. He's like, man, I need to find a head horse. He wasn't roping with me. I don't know. I don't remember who he was roping with. I need to find a head horse. I can't find a head horse. So I said, I know one they'll let you get on, but he's quick. He's ducks. Oh, that's okay. This rodeo's going to be tough. He said, that's what we need. So I said, okay. So he matter of fact, he borrowed that horse in the bulldog, and also Dennis would bulldog on that horse. He wouldn't get close in the rope and the heading, but he'd
run by the bulldog.
You had to run him right there. So he rode the same horse, my buddy. He rode the same horse in the bulldogging, and I think he took a wreck, and then he got on him for the heading, and he backs in there and he nails the start and stands up to rope. And next thing you know, he's standing there in front of the box with his rope in his hand on his feet, and the whole hot shot's gone.
They call that horse hot shot. That's pretty funny right there, man. So it's funny how names come about. I guess he must have been kind of a little bit wiry, that horse.
Yeah, that's why he is so tough. I mean, he's built just like that paint.
Speaking of that paint, like people that don't know, Begay did he get him from Dennis? Because he said one of his uncles.
No, I don't think it was Dennis. I think it was another uncle.
He got him from one of his uncles, and they tortured this thing. And man, he was kind of just an ugly paint, little war paint. But man, he would duck so hard, and like you would think, man, this thing can't run. But shoot, I think it was Synergy won a day money on him over there at Cheyenne, and like they rode him.
You got to run there.
Oh yeah, like he could run. But as soon as you'd release that head rope, he was
going.
Yeah. And some of the fastest times I've been was on that horse. And actually, Derek rode that horse when we were 3-6 at the NFR. We had the walker, and he really didn't bring that horse to ride that week, but we had that specific steer. And like I said, some of these steers you rope at these rodeos, they've been roped a lot, and they're toast. And like we had a steer that walked, and he was off-headed, trotted. And
that was nothing new.
That was
you guys
perfect. Like that paint seen it 1,000 times. Like he just went to the line, and when Derek released right there, that horse, he ducked.
Mm-hmm. Talk about pull the steer in your loop, huh? He
Yeah.
just set it down there and he pulled it in. It was just
And
I watched that run a million times.
that paint wasn't. He didn't look like he was pretty scrappy, but like when it come to pulling big steers, he knew how to handle his body weight, and he would hit them pretty hard. But it's funny how they would wind up with their legs together if you were ready. If you weren't ready to throw right there, they might be taken away from you pretty fast. But that you've seen some pretty good runs with old paint, right?
Oh man, yeah, a lot.
A lot.
Like I said, Synergy was pretty rank on that horse because actually that horse is a little more free for him because he kind of hides it a little bit more with the swing, maybe a little bit faster swing.
Well, he would do the one swinger too.
Yeah.
They try to sneak it by him.
I tell you what, one of the best runs that I've seen. Well, JoJo, he's rode him. JoJo Lamont rode that horse 4 or 5 times and got money on that horse every single time. It was pretty.
Oh, he got
pretty rank. Yeah, like really good. Like that was his style of head horse right there.
And see, they won a lot on those horses. And Leonard Williams, you know Leonard.
Yeah.
He had an old paint back in the day, and they would never tell anyone no. If you wanted a head horse, get on. Those were their best horses. And shoot, I remember down the road here at Elmer's.
I was going to ask you about Elmer, so go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Leonard would I'd get the head on that paint, and so would so-and-so and so-and-so's cousin, and we'd all, everyone rope on him. Those suckers stayed sound, and they had long careers. I mean, how old was that paint when he quit him?
Oh, man, he had to be in his 20s, I know. Yeah. I mean, when Derek quit riding him, Synergy started riding him a little bit. And then, like, he was pretty crippled when they said they kind of...
Yeah, but didn't he say he started hauling him at 5 or something?
Yeah, he was... Yeah, like, he said he wasn't very broke, but you back him in the box, he kind of halfway knew what to do.
That's a long time. That's a long career.
You couldn't hardly turn him in around this parking lot over here, but by golly, he back in the box and...
Put it on him.
I mean... duck. This horse had a pretty decent little move right there to the left.
So you did a lot of jackpotting in Arizona back in the day then?
Yeah, I was never a real jackpotter. I went to
rodeos.
Jackpots. Rodeos was my thing. I liked rodeos.
So Elmer's, I don't know if you know Jason Williams. He's my stepdad. And I was too young to remember this, but I went there a couple times right before. But Elmer's, he told me stories about Elmer's back in the day. It's a lot of guys went there, huh?
Yeah,
a lot of stories.
I know Jason well. We roped some back in the day, and yeah, everyone went to Elmer's. Everyone knew about Elmer's. That was the Wickenburg.
That's what a lot of people tell me that, and I must have been. I mean, everybody went there, huh? Yeah. Huh. I heard a lot of stories about the parking lot over there.
Is there a Circle K there now?
Yeah, right across the street. Yeah, yep. Where Elmer's, that's a quick trip, but across the streets are okay. But yeah, there's a lot of stories about that place.
Yeah, we used to back in the box right there where that soda fountain sits, probably.
Yeah, exactly. Did you know Kai and Sayer?
Yes.
Yeah, he's my buddy.
Yeah, those guys are pretty close to my age.
Yeah, Kai and Bry. I still see Bry all the time, but they talk about Elmer's all the time.
It was a pretty competitive team roping out here, and like I liked going to the rodeos and stuff too, and checking them out. And like I said, you've seen Preston quite a bit in Georgia. He was looking for circuit rodeo partners. He'd rope with Preston and stuff at the rodeos and amateur rodeos. And man, that day and age would you say like that was in the late 90s right there, about the time I think rodeo was pretty fun right there in about the late 90s era. Yeah. Seemed like them guys had
like a rock star mentality.
Well, I got to see Roy Cooper. He'd show up in a bus, and most of these guys still had Capri campers and bumper pulls and stuff. Like it was still
big dog in it.
Yeah. That's kind of where my rig. That's kind of how I started. I was like, man, I can do this too. If these guys rolling the Capri, so can I.
Yeah.
But you had your Capri too, right?
Yes, sir. I bought my I think my last one I bought from Roy.
Yeah, Rodeo Roy for sure.
Wow.
He always had the coolest rigs, man. Always.
Yeah, he did this. Camper was pretty sweet. I'm not sure how I found out about it, but called him, said I'd take it. Okay, I'll be out there in a week or whatever. And he said, okay, no problem. So I get out there and call him, and he says, man, we had a storm come through. The camper blew over off of the deal, but it's fine. There's really can't even see anything. He says, whatever amount, he said, this is the least I'll take. Like, I didn't even have to negotiate. He did. And then he paid, was it 2 Al? He paid them to put it on, put the boot on there, and the whole deal.
Man, those are fun times. Did you have a window that went through from the truck all the way through? I had one without it, and I told myself I'd never be able to do that again because you can go from the truck into the camper and do whatever you need to do in the camper and crawl back
through the back window of your pickup?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And so that was pretty fun. It felt like you were really
a little bigger.
Yeah, man. I feel like you're really, really rodeoing back then. Kind of, I got that bull riding spirit. Like I was a bull riding team roper at that time. Pretty fun times.
Yeah, for sure.
So, what's on the what's new for you in the future? I know you said you got quite a few bid orders, right? Like,
we stay busy with the bid orders. We have I probably have I take my orders on cue cards, and I probably have a stack of 80 to 100 cards at all times. So,
wow,
we're 4 to 6 months out, but we just kind of go at our own pace. It's just me and my wife. She's half my business, Gerald. She doesn't get much of the credit because it's all under my name, Preston Williams. I need to have Preston Williams bid or whatever, but she's half of it, man. She makes it look pretty. She's the one that cuts the silver, and she solders and makes it look pretty.
Who does the engraving on the bits?
I do the engraving. I build the bits, and she cuts and solders, and so it's a pretty good team.
That's cool.
It's a real good team. I mean, we keep all of our money in house. So only problem is, if I had a worker, I could chew his ass once in a while. Can't do that here.
Doesn't fly. Or actually make them work overtime, huh?
Yeah, or sometimes it's the other way around.
She does some showing too, as well, right?
Yeah, she shows the rain cow horses, and she's a non-pro. She's not a trainer. She's a non-pro, and she wins. Darn sure wins her share. And I show at some of those also. Just been dipping my toe in, and it's a good time. I love it.
That's I don't have the mental capacity to do the reining. Sometimes it feels like, but like I like running down the fence and turn them back. That's my kind of deal. Do you have a particular in the rein cow horse thing that the reining, the cutting, down the fence and stuff?
That's most of the guys. They feel the same as you. Like everyone, like, oh, we just do away with this reining, but that's my favorite reining. Well, probably because I'm better at that than I am going down the fence. But it's just so cool because you can apply it all to your rope horses, man. It just makes it so much easier. It was like I give some roping lessons too, and the thing I emphasize the most, like I don't really focus on the roping part of it that much, because if you put enough time into it, anyone could stand there at that dummy and figure out how to catch it 10 out of 10 times. Mm-hmm. So I focus so much on the horsemanship. And first thing I always tell all my students is, okay, you sit over there by your sawhorse or the horns. You rope it 10 times. How many times out of 10 are you going to catch it? And they're always like, probably 10. Okay, so when you move back, do you miss one once in a while? Yeah. Well, the only reason to miss usually is because you get out of position. And the reason you get out of position is you can't maneuver your horse to where you want him to be. Exactly. And the reason you can't maneuver your horse is because he's not allowing you to. He's not broke, and you're not riding good enough. So if you can maneuver that horse to that sweet spot every time, you should catch.
I feel like that's the game is evolving a little bit more because the guys are learning how to do that better. As far as the heelers are learning how to get them heel horses sliding around there, that makes it for a stronger finish. The headers are learning to keep them head horses free and running, even though they duck on them. They reach on them so much. But I've been talking about it a little bit, but at the last clinic I talked about it a bunch. But your right arm is secondary. The guys that rope really, really good are good with their riding, good with their legs, good with their hands. They're able to maneuver that horse and put them in the right spot every time. You talked about like the guys that are at the highest level, they rope the dummy really good. They won't miss. They can rope it 100 times in a row, won't miss. If you can put them in that same spot every time on their horseback, it's pretty.
Yeah, a lot better chance of catching. Do you see some, like when you go to these clinics or just people at ropings riding around, do you notice like they're in the wrong bit? I mean, can you notice like a horse like doing something that you can tell like, oh, he should be doing something like a different bit?
More than anything, it's adjustment. Usually what you see.
Oh,
people
too tight or too loose.
Yeah, usually too loose.
I see.
Stuff's too loose. The bit's hanging too low and the curb strap's loose. Or you're not getting any help from your bit.
Talk about that a little bit. So like this bit right here, if it wasn't up on the cheek right there, it wouldn't have the same feel, right? You kind of wouldn't be getting its full effect, right? Unless it was in the proper spot.
Right. They're designed to be in a certain spot. And this stiff bit here with a little bit of weight, if it's too loose, it's going to bounce in their mouth. So, obviously they wouldn't like that. But yeah, there's trainers that have their different opinions too. Like some of them want them a little looser. Like the snaffles, they kind of want those a little looser. And they say that teaches them to pack it. And some guys want, a couple wrinkles with the snaffle.
Mm-hmm. Just kind of personal preference for sure.
A couple wrinkles, you mean like right here?
Yes, sir.
I got
like a smile.
Corner of the mouth.
I'm one of them guys that'd be like, Caesar, come over here and look at this. Does this look right? I don't want to look like an idiot out there. So I might have to do a FaceTime real quick. Does everything look good?
So I get calls all the time and people are like, what kind of bit? I need to make my horse stop harder, or I need to make him do this or that. Like, I know it's my business and I should sell him a bit, but usually the problem is training related. Like you got to do certain exercises to get this horse to stop better. You can't just put barbed wire snaffle on him.
How do I get my horse to slide farther? You know what I mean?
That's right.
It starts with when they're about 2 years old and you're getting them broke.
A little late.
It's kind of a little bit late now.
He's 14 now, so
I mean, if I were smarter, I'd probably say, well, this is the bit right here that you need.
You got a one bit that fits all.
Yeah, but
remember that bit they used to make, the perfect bit? It wasn't that perfect. Just whatever. Good marketing, good name, I guess. But I like these ones the best right here because I like I said, I've got quite a few years and I save them a lot for the shows and they got good weight to them. They respect them really well. And like I said, I'm a huge fan. Can't look forward to seeing some of the new stuff you're making. For Christmas, I got Camilo a set of spurs talked about, and Preston, my little boy Camilo loves fishing, and so Preston made him a trout on
That's
the side.
what's up.
There.
my wife made the trout.
That's cool.
But,
You give her a challenge like that, her first reaction like, oh, I can't do that. But you just let her go and think about it, and she knocks it out of the park usually.
He's probably the only
perfect.
one with trout on his spurs in the whole country. Probably.
Gio's got wolves on the inside,
okay.
wolf howling, wolf head. That's probably a cool little deal. She kind of didn't want to do that either, but
trout.
came out perfect.
Yeah, there's that. And then we had a friend, he said he wanted a road runner. And she's like, why? I don't know, just to challenge you, just keep trying to.
Hey, have you ever seen them things? They're badass. They are lizards. Yeah,
the road runner was awesome too.
Yeah, they're one of the most ferocious little birds in Arizona right there. They hunt lizards and
I want a hay baler on mine. You put a hay baler on there? Let's see this challenge now.
Another lady asked, she was just thinking of what she wanted on her spurs, and you can see the light come on, and I hope she listens to this because she'll know who she is, but she see the light come on in there, and she's like, I want birds on a wire. What? She was serious. So we put birds on a wire.
Heck yeah.
Perfect.
And we want to let the listeners know we just purchased one. He's going to build it for us. We're going to have the Tolleson-Mack logo on it, and we're going to figure out a way to make some kind of a deal so we can give it away to one of you listeners. We needed 300 more subscribers, so we're doing whatever we can. So
for all you cowboys and cowgirls out there that are really into the bits and stuff, be on the lookout for that.
Well, we're going to have something coming up to try to win it.
We're going to have this year, going to have good ideas like that. We're going to have great people like Preston on and maybe bring some of their products. And like, what kind of bit do you think we kind of should design? Should we design a mouthpiece right now on air? Like, what do you think, say, going to general public? Do you think maybe a correctional mouthpiece, or do you want to make something a little more solid?
No, the correction is exactly what I was thinking too. I have a good little shank. We'll put the Tolleson-Mack logo on that concho, and Dakota has this shank with the correction. He loves them, so put a correction in that, and I think it'll be pretty sweet.
For sure.
Awesome.
I think I got the same kind of bit too as well, and I've actually rode his bit quite a bit. I know exactly the one he's talking about, and Dakota has me ride that one all the time as well. It's kind of why I picked it up. I think I told you about that. I was like, man, I need one right away. I'm going to the show, and I need one just like Dakota's. And you whipped it up pretty fast for me. It looked pretty sweet too. So what kind of design? I guess we're gonna put the logo on the side. Are we gonna put any? What do you call these little? You call them little bullets, or what do you call them? Little
Dots.
Little dots on the side.
Silver dots. Yeah.
silver dots look pretty cool. Just kind of.
You Cowboys have names for everything. You got just dots. Like I figured this thing's gonna be called, all these names. And
What do you got? Help me name him.
I don't know, but I don't know what.
Some
I
shine.
didn't know the dots.
Gems.
There you go.
some steel gems.
You know.
But shoot, we're gonna take a little bit of a break and I'll use a little bit of a restroom break, maybe refill some drinks, and we'll come back with Preston for maybe talk about some Spurs again.
Heck yeah.
All right, we're back with part 2, and part 2 is sponsored by
Flint Farms. Chad Maddox over there at Flint Farms. He's been selling the shit out of hay to some of the biggest names in the game.
That's like green gold nowadays.
That is
Pretty popular in Arizona to have good horse hay and ship it all over, correct?
Yes, sir. And man, trust me, guys, if we send you 512 bells and there's 3 or 4 that are, got a little grass in them or something, feed them to your open steers. Don't call us and bitch about 4 fucking bells. All right. Go ahead.
Actually, the grass hays, you pay extra for that.
Yeah. I always tell everybody if there's a little bit of weeds, that's for free. We're not charging you that, But
well, we got Preston Williams in the house. Thank you so much for joining us, and PW Hardware as well. That's been a cool company for you, and I'm a fan of it. Like I said, I got my boys and myself with bits and spurs and stuff, and I kind of wanted to come back with part 2 and talk a little bit about spurs. When I rodeoed and stuff, I knew about different lengths and stuff. Maybe you need a little bit more, but different rowels and you could make one with different angles to get a little more out of the horse. So these spurs in particular, I really like this style. And you said that they were hand filed and everything too, huh?
Yeah, filed. I did a little file work on the borders there.
And maybe if you can't see right there, he did really good work with it. And so different shanks. Like you can go straight out on some. When you go straight out with I guess this part right here is a shank, correct?
Right.
Yeah.
A lot of it depends on the build of the rider. If you like, I've made some for some long-legged guys, and their legs don't even come close, but they're like the cow horse guys, like they have to ride with their feet. So if their spurs aren't touching, they're not gonna ride good. So you have to make a long old shank, and it goes up. Whereas a short-legged person needs to go down and probably a shorter shank because where their feet rest is right there at the spot.
That makes a lot of sense. Because I've had some that are a little bit longer, and I feel like when I go to heel, I like to squeeze just a little bit more, and it might have been just a little bit too much. I shorten up the rowel just a little bit. Shorten the shank a little bit, maybe softer rowels, and so I can squeeze and do different things in my delivery when I need to. And then some horses that want to get real, I feel like stopping wise, if I put them spurs with a little bit longer shanks on them, maybe a little bit more aggressive rowels, them horses really feel you and make sure. But like riding these show horses, got so much feel. And even Dakota says, he wants a short shank spur on the horses when I ride them. And because he rides a long one,
but the ones I made him are long.
Yeah.
It has some rowel.
Yeah, but he tells me, I squeeze more than him in the delivery, which he's got a little bit longer legs. He can sit down his delivery just a little bit more to help his horse out. I squeeze my horse a little bit more in the delivery.
Yeah.
And so, like I said, there's different styles. And he says, he explained it to me, and he told me just put your shorter shank spurs on and your softer rowels. That way you can squeeze and kick and do whatever you got to do on these horses.
Are rowels the spinning?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
We've all learned how to heel differently, and there's guys that ride them natural. Like Les Oswald's one of my favorite to watch. You can look at their pictures when he throws and heels. He's sitting kind of like a cow horse, like takes his feet away and he's sitting. And you watch some of the best healers in the world, and they're up forward, and their feet are behind them, and they're squeezing. They still rope 2 feet and probably faster, but that's not a real stopping position. But you've probably rode these horses before, like your older rodeo horses. No matter what you do, you can squeeze them in the flank, and they're going to do their job because they just know. You could wear whatever you want for spurs on them. But these maturity horses, younger horses, things got to be just right. And you can't have too much spur if you don't have control of your feet.
Right. I mean, these, like you talked about, I ride a lot of Dakota's horse, so they've been cow horse before. And so pressure points matter. Your horses are, they're animals of, when you release the pressure, they go away from it. So like if a Dakota rides a horse and he's got good release in his delivery, and I'm a little bit more, I squeeze in my delivery, the horse is going to be a little bit confused right there. So if I have a real sharp kind of longer shank type spur and I squeeze in him, and he's used to Dakota releasing right there, not putting any pressure on it. And so that's why he says, hey, put your softer rowels. And so the horse
I got you.
can, a little more dull to it, and you can do whatever you want on this horse. And man, it's so hard. I'm learning how to ride better and better with my legs, and learning different things about the bits, and why we're going to use a solid port mouthpiece on this horse, and why we're going to use these kind of spurs. Because like some horses, he'll tell me, hey, just take your spurs off. You know what I mean? Like he leaves his on all the time, but like he'll tell me, hey, you just take your spurs off of that horse. And then the next horse I'll get on, hey, put them, I'll have like 2 sets of spurs over there. I got different horses for different things.
That's what kind of busted my bubble with Tanner. I wanted to wear spurs like everybody else. That's a cool thing to do, is wear some nice spurs. So I'm all getting me some spurs up there. He's like, you're not wearing spurs on your horse. Your horse don't need no spurs. I'm like, damn. I was like, can I wear them to the bar at least? Look cool, but nope.
Dakota would say, do you want to win?
Yeah, I know.
Well, you want to
That's
win,
the
take
part.
them off.
Yeah, exactly.
If you don't want to win, just leave them on, and just your horse will be all over the
I
place.
was like, yeah, I want to wear spurs.
Well, you wouldn't be the first one, just wear them to ride or walk around.
Brandon wants the big ones with the big
Hell
rounds,
yeah.
and he probably wants the ones where they that you put the little
jingle bobs.
Yeah, just make them a little more loud where you can hear them from about a mile away.
I like those, like the thickness, like how the sides of, or whatever the sides of the band. I like that. That's the size I like right there.
Thank you for explaining the spur a little bit more too. We're a little bit first time podcast or first generation.
First generation.
We can break down the parts if you want, but yeah, this is more my roper size band. The cow horse guys and cutters, and they like a little thicker, heavier band.
Tell us, why is that?
I don't know if that's the style or they stay down better for them. Ropers like, a little lighter spur, because I've heard guys say, I don't want a heavy spur to pack around all day.
Walk all day too. So.
This is the swing arm where the strap attaches, spur strap, and the shank and the rowel.
The rowel, would you consider this rowel like a mid?
This is pretty mild.
Yeah, it's nice. I like that rowel.
It's pretty mild. Like I test them, put them on my ribs, and roll it up and down, so you're not getting much reaction.
And you make some smaller ones that are kind of a little maybe duller, and you can make some bigger ones that kind of maybe have a little more.
The spacing's kind of where you get more. If if this tine was gone, you'd feel it a little more.
Okay, I got you.
You could have a big old rowel, like a wagon wheel with a lot of points, and it's not going to be anything because it's a lot of surface area.
Okay, I got you.
So if it's smaller and fewer points, you're going to have a little more direct.
Huh. That's pretty neat right there. Any other things like you can put? So I guess you engraved all this stuff right here too, and I imagine you can put like brands and little things like that if you needed to, right?
Yeah, we do a lot of brands. Our stuff,
made stuff.
I wouldn't say our stuff's collectible. Our stuff is, I think, affordable for the customized stuff. If you look at customized stuff, most of them are quite a bit more money than us. But I don't think, I'm not selling it for collectible. It's using gear, and but it still looks good.
Is it?
I agree.
How do you sell online or anything? Or
yeah, I'm on. Well, mostly I don't have a website, but mostly Facebook and Instagram's where majority of my orders come.
You send them all over the country?
Oh yeah, yep. Send them everywhere. And just private message me, and I'm not good about answering the phone. My shop's loud, and it's hard to talk on the phone, and I have to stop working. So message me and check my messages, and usually get back pretty good.
That's awesome right there. He tries to get to him as fast as he can. He's got a lot of orders, but if you're wanting to get something in for Christmas or something, get your order in right away, right, Preston?
Yeah, that's the hard part. It's if I have buddies call or good customers and they have a horse they need something for, it's hard, because I have a long list, and a lot of customers don't care. Like a lot of the trainers, they just want something to add to their collection, so they give me an order, and whenever you get to it's fine. But then you have people that need it, and if it's 6 months, a lot of times they don't need it anymore. So I always check with them before I start.
I'm one of them guys. He's
Right
been
now?
good for me. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's made a couple for me right there before the Rope Horse for Charity, Fort Worth. And like they're good using bits, but they still got the look
pretty.
that we want. Yeah.
Sure.
So very,
like
very,
them.
very cool. You got any really cool rodeo stories? I mean, you've been going, telling some Cheyenne stories and any like Pendleton stories. Tell the listeners what Pendleton was like in the,
Yeah, I've only been to
late-
Pendleton a couple times because it's right directly after Window Rock. That's one of the biggest
Oh.
Indian rodeos. So I'd stay gone all summer and work my way down to Window Rock and White River. Those some good Indian rodeos, and then I'd have to go all the way back up to Pendleton. But I've done it a couple times, and yeah, it's the horse I rode. I don't think I roped calves and heeled one year. I borrowed a buddy's horse, and he was a good horse, and he stopped on all fours. I knew he was the one, and he handled it. He didn't slide at all. The guy before me, he went out there, the calf roper went out there, roped his calf, horse flipped straight over backwards, broke his saddle. I'm like, man,
it's wild over there. Like it's one of my favorite rodeos for that reason. Like you don't want to take your eye off the next run because like you might see a cool wreck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You might see somebody go down.
What state would you say has the most Indian rodeos? Is it South Dakota or?
probably Arizona.
Oh, really?
Up there on the Navajo reservation, they like during the summer, you can make it a job if you wanted.
Wow. Huh.
And so you were born and raised in Schurz, Nevada, right?
Yep, Schurz, Nevada. If you go into the Reno Rodeo and you drive from Arizona, you have to drive through Schurz.
Yeah.
We used to have a set of tracks there that would knock your trailer loose, and everyone's like, "Oh yeah, that's the place with the railroad track."
Oh yeah, I know exactly where you live. What was
the
it like?
hubcap right there?
What was it like growing up out there? It's if you don't really know, it's out in the middle of nowhere. Like
Yeah, that's out.
there's a little sign that says Schurz, Nevada, and you see a few houses here and there, and then back to nothing, like for miles.
Yeah, it was. I wouldn't change it for anything. Like it was pretty neat. We had mild summers, mild winters. We'd get a little snow here and there, but usually we could rope through the winter. I'd play basketball but we'd still get to rope. And my dad worked for the tribe that at the time they had a bunch of cows. So he was one of the cowboys for our tribe there, and he rode every day. And in the summer I went with him. So that's where I learned to rope, was out on the grass and the wild ones in the pasture.
That's awesome right there. You got to tie some down, huh? You got good at it?
Yeah, my dad always loved calf roping, and so I got into it. In high school. We didn't have junior high rodeos back then, and it's tough. And guys will say this. I think Clay Smith said it on your podcast the other day. Like, it's hard to do by yourself. It's more fun with a couple guys.
Yeah.
So most of the time it was me by myself, but then I had my best friend for a little bit, and he tied with me. And then when I went to college, my first couple of years, I went to college with the Navajos up on the Navajo College, and there's a bunch of guys there, and they had a good team. I think the year before I went, I think they won the national team title. So when I got there, they craved it. That I think I might have been the only one with a horse, but we had cows, so we had calves, so we would tie all the time, and I had a tying dummy and be 6 inches of snow outside on the ground, and we'd tie that dummy.
When you say team, does it go like tribes? Is it like Navajos versus?
No, that's that college rodeo. Like each college was a team, just like a basketball or football team.
And what college was that?
It's called the Dene College, and back then it was Navajo Community College.
I don't know, I might be wrong, but is there like more Navajos rope, or is there any indication of like different, like Derek and Eric, and that's their Navajos, Navajo Nation, right?
Yes.
So is there like another nation in like South Dakota, like another tribe that's...
Well, the Apaches had probably the second biggest in Arizona.
And is Dustin Bird, or is that, what are they?
He's Blackfeet from Montana.
Okay.
Yeah,
So there's quite a few different ones.
Rope good up there, man.
That's what I mean. Like the ropers from down here are known for that, and they rope up there. Same thing.
Like I said, pretty competitive, man. Like there's guys from back east that rode good that you never even heard of. Like, and then they show up at these Indian rodeos, like, who the hell is this guy? And next thing you know, it's like, why don't I know about this guy? Because that's all they do is they go to the Indian rodeos.
Basketball and rodeo on the reservation.
How far does the Navajo Nation go? Like, it goes in, how big is that?
It's all 4 states up there, the 4 corners, the reservations on.
It goes in all New Mexico and all of them.
How was your 3-point shot in high school?
Not good at all.
What was your main spot? Where you at?
I was gonna
say defense.
I would hustle and try hard. I'm kind of a black and white guy. Like if they say you need to shoot this way, you keep your elbow in and this and that, and then it should work. So I try to do it exactly. Say with anything to this day, like someone tells me this is how it's supposed to be, I'll do it that way and expect it to work. But it didn't work for my 3-point shot.
We had talked about it a little bit. You couldn't dunk it or nothing like that, huh?
No, I could get close, but and like I said, basketball is big, and where I went to high school, it was a pretty big basketball school. Like before me, they won some state titles, and when I got there, I think there's only 2 of us that were seniors, which was unusual for that school. But it was I loved it. We had a great coach. He taught us a lot about perseverance and working hard and that type of stuff. And but we weren't. I knew it was never my future. So at one point, I had to make a decision. I think maybe it was a high school rodeo or something. I asked my coach if I can go, and he's like, "Well, you're not going to start.
I got to play."
So I had to make that decision. I went to the rodeo and came back, and he benched me and gave me a talking to and whatever. And then time goes on. I go to college. I get college scholarships, and my parents never had to cough up anything for college. So I go to college rodeo, and I win the nationals in heeling and the all around, and it comes out in the papers. And actually it was even in Sports Illustrated. They had the section, it's called Faces in the Crowd.
Oh yeah.
I was in that little deal. And it got back to my coach. He read the newspaper and whatever, and he reached out to me and he apologized. He said,
That's awesome.
Yeah, I didn't realize.
That is cool.
Yeah.
Because, obviously the basketball would have been a hard road to hoe to get a scholarship and not have your parents pay for anything, playing basketball.
Well,
but you do.
Probably be in the NBA. But
Yeah. That's cool. Do you watch the Phoenix Suns at all?
Yeah.
Do you see how they, embrace the
Yeah.
That's cool. They do the drums.
One of the uniforms was native themed.
Yep. I like it. They do the drums at center court, and they have from the sky, and they show it's cool. Really cool. Yeah,
they're big sponsors.
Big time. Yo, big time.
One of my favorite things to go watch is the powwows at the rodeos too.
I bet
it's badass. Yeah,
I'm gonna try to get to Pendleton this year to see it. I want to see it all.
That music just gets your heart pumping up.
It does. It's vibrations in the ground. Like it's awesome. Yeah, and just watch everybody's kind of happy. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Everybody's dancing. Everybody's like, it's a fun time.
But that vibration, it's true. Like inside that, the arena, when they start doing them drums, it's, your hair sticks up on your back, your neck. It's weird. Yeah. I like it.
We have an anthem. So my mom's Shoshone, my dad's Paiute, and at our rodeos in that area, Fallon and Schurz, they would always play the Shoshone flag song, and this lady would sing it. She had the prettiest voice, and this song was just so pretty. Even the Indians from different reservations, like they always remember that anthem. It's just when it played, it's probably like for you guys when you're at the big roadies and they play the national anthem. That when this song played, it just it always just pumped you up for that short round or whatever, and just a cool feeling.
That's beautiful for sure. And like you said, the singing's top notch for sure. Real beautiful stuff.
That's cool.
So 2 of my favorite healers for sure, Preston Williams from Schurz, Nevada, and Jade Corkill from Fallon, Nevada. Legendary healers come from Nevada, they say.
It's true.
Just right up the road.
I don't know about that, but thank you.
You did you ever get into the breaking of the horses back then at all? Like, you get around it a little bit now and see how them guys get them horses started. Like, back then they didn't do it like that. What was it? Like I talked to a guy that like they would snub one up, put a saddle on them, and then just get on them. Now they're a little more softer about it. They might do a few things to make it a little easier on the horse and maybe faster in the long run.
Yeah, I trained my own horses coming up, like that paint mare or whatever. And my dad and my grandpa trained, but compared to like the trainers now, they weren't trainers. They trained their own horses. You know, they bred some their own and whatever. And I thought I knew what I was doing, but I didn't. And you know, I didn't even know what cow horse was until I met my wife, Carol. You know, that was 2015 or 14, somewhere in there. And that's just a whole new world to me. And I was just eager to learn about it, and I love it. It's cool. But yeah, they do it different, but they start them at 2. You know, my grandpa used to make me get on his, and there were 3, maybe 4. And they were big and
5 sometimes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah, and you know that's debatable. You know, they start them so young now, and they keep after them that whole 2-year-old year. So you know, is that why a lot of them have problems staying sound? You know, maybe, I don't know.
Know about that?
They stay. They're pretty broke though when they're
They're
about 3 to
broke.
4 years old.
You get them at 3, they're a veteran, and they've been
Yeah.
rode for a year.
Yeah.
You get on one that's like 4 years old and they've been broke. I mean, they're gonna know how to buck. They're gonna
Yeah.
be kicking the
A 4-year-old, you ride him one-handed, neck reins, spins, the whole deal. But you know, back then, 4 was, everyone called it a colt, and you still people from the old school like, oh yeah, my colt. How old is he? Oh, he's 9 this year.
Yeah. He's not 10 yet. He's gonna be a colt till he's 10.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you say colt nowadays, they're like, oh, it's 3-year-old, huh?
Yeah.
2-year-old. It's awesome.
Yeah.
But well, Preston, I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much. I usually end these podcasts with inspiration. Like I'm sure there was times where you maybe wanted to quit, and you kind of kept after it. Maybe that coach, you know, give you that little extra edge. Maybe you're upset with that and kind of wanted to pursue your rodeo career. Is there any motivational speeches you want to give the listeners?
Well, I was prepared for this question because I listened to all you guys' podcasts. You guys are doing a great job, and I like your content, and keep it up. I admire your job too. Is you get to ask all these guys questions and stuff, and I like doing that. But yeah, my advice is, you know, do something that makes you happy. Like me and my wife love this. You know, we're out there in the shop, holidays, weekends. We work Saturday and Sundays. I would rather be out in the shop than in the house. So we're out there all the time. You know, Christmas Eve day, New Year's, whatever. We're always in there, but we love it. So that's my advice. Do something you love.
I love that advice.
Yeah.
Beautiful thing.
I agree with that 100%.
Can't ever go wrong if you follow what you love, for sure.
No, sir.
Well, thank you, Preston, so much, man.
I'm glad I got to meet you, man. You have a hell of a resume, and I'm glad I get to know you now.
Now you know about these.
I'm gonna see you around and be, hey, and be one of them guys.
Tell everybody about these trailers. How many trailers you want?
Yeah. I got trivia now.
Yeah. Preston's legendary in these states.
Hell yeah.
Trailers.
I would like to hear, you know, if someone knows someone else. I know Trevor's got he's won a lot of trinkets and probably a lot of trucks, but I don't know if he's got 21 trailers.
No, man, you got even 2 trucks. I've heard of people winning 1, but 2. That's pretty awesome right there.
Well, anybody knows, message us. We'll find out. We'll find out.
Like I said, hero from the very start. Thank you, Preston. For
21.
If someone tops that, I'm gonna have to come out of retirement.
Yeah.
Go back to Canyon Day.
One more time.
Thank you.
One more time.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. I
Yep.
appreciate it.